today's our session is divided into two parts. Okay, because some of the chartered accountants said what we will have by learning Cooperative Act, we already done, we are already in the panel. So if you can include RERA as one of the subjects, it's the upcoming subject in urban area, RERA is affecting, redevelopment is affecting. So therefore you include this. And when the suggestion, we requested Gautam Chatterjee sir to be here so that on RERA he will enlighten us, and on the redevelopment aspect, how the redevelopment can happen in a better way, how a chartered accountant can play a role, which he will explain us. Sir, you will have a PPT also? Not required, not required. So there is a PPT which has been prepared by him. I will put it in the group. I will circulate to you. So he will explain us as a keynote address, as a chief guest. Give him a round of applause for coming all the way from Andheri and spending with us. So he will deliberate on the RERA and redevelopment. Thereafter, what can be the way forward? The second, of course, panelist is there who will answer the question on RERA related. Then second session, 11:30 or 12, we will have a second session where DDR is going to come, District Deputy Registrar, along with his DSA and other officials and Deputy Registrar, who will guide us as to how the auditor should function, what are the role and responsibility of the auditor, and in the Commissioner's office, how the report of a chartered accountant is getting verified and how the complaints are looked into, and if you don't do the proper reporting, what will be the consequences. Expectation of the department from the chartered accountant as a cooperative auditor, they are going to discuss, debate and guide you. So we wanted to do a full day program, and that was the Commissioner's guideline, that it should be a full day training program. But when I spoke to many of you chartered accountant, I was told that, sir, जुलाई महीना है, हम लोग का इनकम टैक्स का बहुत कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, आप इसको आधा दिन करो, हमको खाना गिना कुछ नहीं चाहिए, because we arrange also 400 rupees coupon for lunch and hardly 2 people paid, rest of the people have not paid. So please pardon me, we will not be having lunch today, but naturally the snacks has been sponsored, which will be available around 11:30, 12. We will have sandwich there, and thereafter those who have paid, around 10 to 12 people have definitely paid the money, 400 rupees. But we definitely regret, and because of 10 people, the caterer said we cannot arrange. So we will be refunding the money who have paid 400 rupees. Otherwise, this session is going to be completely free for you, because this has been arranged by none other than GSB Seva Mandal with their efforts, and our taxman who has sponsored this event, because it requires lot of manpower, lot of working. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir, to give us an enlighten about the redevelopment, RERA, and what should be the going forward, and what are the opportunities that chartered accountant can look into it.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu, and experts on the panel. So let me, on behalf of GSB, welcome all the participants in this knowledge seminar. It's always good to be part of any such knowledge seminar, because you get to learn things, and especially with young stalwarts like these, I'm sure there'll be a lot of sharing of knowledge, which will also help me in understanding the various issues on which today real estate sector is thriving. So let me briefly first touch upon some of the aspects of RERA, especially MahaRERA, because MahaRERA was progressive in the implementation of the Act. You would be aware that RERA Act came in after 7 decades of unregulated real estate sector, brought under an iota of regulation. It came in from 2016, but the implementation of the Act in full force started from 1st May of 2017. And Maharashtra was one of the state, the only one state in the country, which on the midnight of 30th April started the implementation of the Act in full force on a digital platform, because 1st April or 1st May begins from 12 midnight of 30th April, and therefore the Act implementation started, and on the first day itself there were 2 developers who came forward and registered their projects. Now I'm sure you are aware of the basics of the Act, so I'll not go into explaining as to what RERA wanted to do. However, let me tell you as to what was the purpose behind the Act, what were the main objectives in the Act, what are some of the aspects which could have also been included in the Act but could not get included, and therefore a new venture that after having done my stint in as Chairman RERA, I am trying to sort of take it forward. Now, as you are aware that the sector is a very important sector, real estate sector. Many of you have been associated in whatever capacity as chartered accountant. However, the sector has so much of contribution to the country's GDP, so much of contribution to creation of employment. So many ancillary sectors are dependent on real estate, from cement, steel, paints, and so many other sectors. And in spite of that, the sector remained unregulated, was actually running in a very unorganized manner, and therefore was very much necessary that there should be some regulation that should be brought in. Maharashtra, as has been a progressive state, because in 1963 the Maharashtra had come up with what is called as the MOFA Act, the Maharashtra Flats Act, and that was in way 63, which talked about, the preamble of that act talked about that there are sundry abuses, malpractices, and therefore information has to be shared with buyers, and whole lot of things were talked about. There should be a proper agreement that is signed by the developer with the home buyers. However, the implementation of Act was not good enough, and therefore in 2011-12, when I happened to be the housing secretary in Maharashtra, we took the initiative of creating the Maharashtra Housing Regulation Development Act. If you people have gone into the RERA Act, section 92 of the RERA Act actually has repealed this act of Maharashtra, which came into effect, but then could not be activated with rules, because by that time the central government came in and the central government wanted the RERA Act to be implemented as a national level. So there should not be any conflict between a state act and a central act, and therefore it was decided by the parliament that this act of the Maharashtra will be repealed. However, if one goes into the content of the Maharashtra Act of 2012, it's more or less similar. Essentially, I would say that whatever was put down by us at that time in the Maharashtra Act has been now copied in the Central Act with maybe minor changes. So essentially, the problems in the sector were that there is information asymmetry, which means when a home buyer with all his savings wants to buy his home, which is maybe one time in his lifetime, he would be expecting that he gets all the information about what is he buying, by what time the home will be delivered to him, what will be the specification of the various amenities that will be provided to him, and various information, because he is paying for his home. However, the situation actually was that a developer will not part with the information, and he will have to struggle to get his information. This is what is called as information asymmetry, which is lack of transparency in information to be provided to the buyer who is actually funding his project. So that was one major problem. Second was fiscal indiscipline. Now, this is something which is close to your heart, and you are the persons who would like to bring in discipline in the financial matters. Now, money is collected for a particular project, usually would not get used in that project, though it was being collected for a project, and there will be efforts by the developer to use that money to expand his business, which means he will use the money to buy up properties elsewhere, so that he can actually expand the business by showing that I am collecting money for project A, but he would be actually planning for B, C, D, E. Now that was wrong, and that was leading to the third problem, which is the project will get either stalled or delayed indefinitely. And a delayed project where a person, home buyer, would like his information as to when he will get his home, because he has paid money for his home, he will be faced with innumerable problems of not getting the correct information when the home will be delivered. And at the same time, if he has to seek redressal, that he would like to go to some forum, some court, some consumer forum, that will not deliver him decision in time. So it was a very peculiar situation where I have put in money, I am not getting information, my home is not getting delivered, I have a grievance, I have a complaint, I do not know when will my complaint get redressed. These were essentially the problems in that, and RERA in its 92 sections have tried to address these problems. One, of information asymmetry by bringing in transparency. Transparency is in the manner where you have used the digital platform to give out information. So if when you use a digital platform to give out information, you are not dependent on any individual to tell you, and if he doesn't tell you, you don't get the information. That was one of the flaws of MOFA Act, where in MOFA Act also all the information was to be shared by a builder with the home buyer. But if he did not share, again you will have to file a complaint with someone, and you did not know where do I file a complaint, and for every small thing I am not expected to go to a court of law, because there also decisions don't get delivered in time. So transparency of information to remove the information asymmetry, which also empowers a home buyer. So home buyers empowerment through information, because information is knowledge. So the knowledge of everything about the project empowered the home buyer, and he could make informed choice. So he is not dependent on any individual who says, I'm a chartered accountant, I know very well this person A is a very good builder. इनके project में आप पैसा लगाओ आपका घर मिल जाएगा. Now that is again subjective information, and you are guided by someone telling you that you please go there. But I should be empowered enough with information available through my website, through a website where information I can access, and I should be able to take decisions, which is called an informed choice. I will make that choice and I will be empowered home buyer. So that was the first thing that was achieved in RERA. Second, and this has come through mandatory disclosures. The Act in its section 3, 4 and all the various sections actually pointed out that this is mandatory for a developer, that he has to register his project. Whenever he is making a project which is meant for sale, he has to register the project, and while registering he has to give all this information. If he doesn't give, then there are penalties prescribed for that. So information asymmetry through transparency was number one. Number two was, how do you build trust between a buyer and a seller? Because if the trust is at low, then you do not know how I will be feeling satisfied that I have put in my crore maybe in Thane, or 3 crore maybe in Mumbai, or maybe indomitably a 50-60 lakhs for buying my home, and then I do not trust the builder whether it will get delivered in time or not. So how do you build trust? So that was another area which was sought to be resolved in the RERA Act through what is called as a quasi-judicial redressal grievance redressal mechanism, section 31. However, there was also a clause 32G which was used very effectively by RERA to bring in, which is called as the ADR, alternate dispute resolution. An alternate dispute resolution is what is called as either a conciliation, or now we have a Mediation Act, mediation, and even arbitration. So conciliation was very effectively used to bring two warring parties, the buyer and the seller, over a conciliation discussion, and trying to hear each one out to see whether you can resolve the differences. If you cannot, then obviously you will take the matter to a quasi-judicial forum. So building trust was the second thing. And third, most important, as I mentioned, was the problem of buildings not getting completed in time. And RERA very effectively brought in that for every project, including projects of the past which were incomplete, had to be prescribed a certain stipulated time. And in that stipulated time, the developer had to complete the project. Otherwise, there was consequences of penalties. So this third thing also has very effectively. So these 3 T's of transparency, trust, and time were effectively brought in by RERA. And it is about now 7 years that we are into the implementation of RERA. Many things, positive things have happened, especially for new projects that have got launched after 1st of May 2017. They are more or less getting covered under these 3. Though we still had legacy problems of projects of the past, of maybe 10 years, 15 years, and they have got stuck. And if anything gets stuck, it's very difficult to pull it out from there and to usko phir patri pe lana. So there are problems still of the legacy projects, but then to a large extent, I feel very satisfied that things are moving. The role that has been prescribed in the RERA Act of 3 sets of professionals, the architects, the engineers, and chartered accountants, they continue to be there as very important. And if suppose the Act has to continue to deliver to the sector in its growth and development, then I think the role of the professionals becomes very profound. And I would feel that through such sessions, you should actually try and understand the further nuances of the Act and get more involved, because you have a very major role to play in the Act. But let me now shift the focus onto some of the exemption clauses which were there in the Act. The Act has an exemption clause of the size of the project. If it is small, then it need not get registered under RERA. It also has a clause which says that if there is a redevelopment or a retrofitting or something like that, which does not involve selling of the homes, then that need not be registered under the Act. Now, obviously, redevelopment in Mumbai, in Thane, in Maharashtra, and maybe also as it comes up in other parts of the country, will involve an element of cross-subsidy in order to reduce the cost of the existing housing society members or the existing dwellers, so that they don't have to fund the total project of redevelopment, and some incentive to a developer who will come forward to facilitate a redevelopment. Of course, everything cannot happen through a self-redevelopment, because it has its own problem of all decisions and everything to be done by the housing society. Now, since that is there, therefore, any project which will be a redevelopment project will have what is called as the rehab component, and to cross subsidize the rehab component, what is called as the sale component. Now, usually the RERA, maharashtra, registers a project only when one has got what is called as the commencement certificate. And a commencement certificate is issued by the Mahanagarpalika, Thane, Mumbai, or whoever, only after the plot on which you have to construct that building has been cleared. Now, in redevelopment, to reach that stage, when the existing residents would have vacated their homes, they would have been sent to either their own rental arrangement or a transit camp, and the building is demolished, then you have vacated the land, then only the stage comes when you can get what is called as the IODCC, commencement certificate of the sale building. Now, it is only after that that the project will come for registration to RERA. However, initially, when the society has to get together, call the annual general meeting, extraordinary general meeting, take decision that yes, this is a building which is more than 30 years old, it is, and therefore we need to go for redevelopment. All these decisions when the society takes, it appoints maybe a project management consultant or an architect who will give a feasibility report as to what will I get out of this redevelopment, what are the development control regulations of the state which allows what extra FSI and various other things, and then he calculates and says, okay, this is your building, these are the number of 100 members, each one of you may be having a 600 square feet flat, the extra FSI that you will get is X, Y, Z, whatever, and if it is redevelopment under say section 33A in UDCPR, under section 7 of the UDCPR, then you will get extra FSI to this extent, and you might get another extra 100 or 200 square feet, and you will also get maybe another 15 flats which you can sell, which you will generate some revenue. Now, this is the type of feasibility report which a society has to prepare. Thereafter, it will be discussed again within the society. Society is not a homogeneous body. If there are 100 members and there are 7 or 8 managing committee members, there is always a trust deficit between the remaining 92 and these 8. The 92 always feel that the 8 have access to more information and we don't have information. And therefore, if someone is brought in as a PMC or a developer, there must be something hanky-panky between the secretary and the chairman and that person. No, this perception is always there, and that only hampers decision making and also creates an atmosphere which is not conducive. Okay. Now, in such a situation, again, it flows out of, this wrong perception flows out of what? Flows out of lack of transparency. That means every dealing and every information is not getting shared with all the 100 members. And therefore, everyone has this doubt, कि कुछ तो घपला चल रहा है. Now, this situation has to be rectified. Now, the government had come up in 2019 with its GR, the cooperative department. The DDR will also be coming, he'll also share with you. However, that GR leaves lot of things which are still to be tackled. How exactly a society, each one of you may be a member of some society, and those society also may be reaching the age of 30, 35 years, and some point of time all of you would have already started discussing about redevelopment, or very soon you will be talking about that. However, one doesn't have the correct information. How should I go about? Who are the professionals whom I should contact? And how should I take the process forward? It's similar situation to what was there pre-RERA on if I have to buy a home, where should I go? Who should I contact? Who will be giving me the correct information? And with this in mind, we thought that the various stakeholders which are there in a redevelopment process, of course, the most important stakeholder is the housing society and their members. They are the service receivers. They are also facilitated by what is called as the housing federations, which are there in every district. So this is one set of service receivers. But there are a whole set of people who are the service givers. The service givers start with, first, as I mentioned, is the project management consultant or the architect who will prepare the feasibility report for you. Now, feasibility report also requires lot of other documents. Mainly among them would be certain legal documents. The legal documents in that as to how you should draft the development agreement when you go to the developer. How will you draft the permanent alternate accommodation agreement, which is with every member as to what he will get in lieu of the existing flat that he has. All these types of agreements should be done in a manner that it satisfies you and also satisfy the other person who will sign the agreement. And therefore, you require a legal professional. So if you see, you will require an architect. Then when the construction starts, you will require an engineer. You will require a project management consultant. You will require a legal professional. You will require what is called either a development manager if you are going for self-redevelopment, or a developer who will carry forward the process of redevelopment. Now, the choice of these people, who is the right person? How do I go about choosing the right person? If I am going for self-redevelopment, I will also require the help of marketing professionals who will sell the extra flats, which will generate fund for me. I will also require in the course of this work, financial institutions who will come forward and give me money. Financial institutions are little reluctant when it comes to redevelopment and giving money with the mortgage of, because the society is such a body where the members are all floating members. They keep on changing. And therefore, the other financial institutions are not very keen in giving money. The only nodal body of the central cooperative bank, they are short of funds and they have hardly funded the projects. There are new financial institutions coming up called the alternate investment funds and such funds, which are saying that, okay, we will try and cover the risk right at the initial stage. When the society has to appoint a PMC, it has to shell out money to also give to the PMC. We will try and hold your hand till the stage when you come to a situation where the plot land has got cleared, people have moved out into a transit, and there are also other financial institutions which are willing to come forward at lower rate of interest. So these are various types of things that are already happening in the market, because redevelopment is something which is in a big way happening in Maharashtra, and very soon is to happen across the country, because cities will get old, buildings will get old. You cannot just write off the building. The building with the residents will have to be provided a fresh lease of life by providing a new building. Now, if that has to happen, then something needs to happen as to how do we hold the hands of the people till that stage, till RERA may take over, which is only after the building land has got cleared and a sale building is now coming up, and RERA registration, which will tackle the issue of transparency and trust and timely completion. So with that in mind, a new idea got floated. Can we create a legal entity which will be a non-profit body, a Section 8 company under the Companies Act, which will be a company or a body which is created with the help of all stakeholders associations. Now, another concept that RERA had started was called the self-regulatory organization, SRO. If you have heard this word of SRO, it's essentially you are also members of SRO. There are the associations of chartered accountants. Similarly, there are the association of builders. There are association of the architects called the PIETA. So every body, especially a professional, is owing allegiance as a membership to some body which is called their association or whatever. Now that association is actually nothing but a self-regulatory body, because it lays down code of conduct for its members and ensures that all members who are part of that association fall into certain things and do the job which is expected of them. So essentially the idea of this body, which is this Section 8 company, would be that you get on board the likes of the Naredco, Credai, the Chartered Accountants Association, the PIETA, the Real Estate Agents Association, the Bars Association which are doing legal practice in RERA. You get them on board in the governance structure of this body, and then they sit together to see how can we remove these problems of transparency, problem of information asymmetry, how can we build trust, how can we actually do timely completion, or at least and disseminate knowledge. So essentially the idea is that you create standard operating procedures and standard formats for the whole procedure that is involved in a redevelopment, right from the first meeting which is held of the cooperative society till the occupation certificate when you come back to your new home. Now these stages will be about say 12 to 15 stages. Can you map out every stage with a timeline and also detailing the procedure that is involved in every stage, and that you put out in a public domain through a web portal which is accessible to everyone? That's number one. So that's actually removing the information asymmetry and putting a society member and a society managing committee to know, oh, acha, this is the whole process that is involved. Second comes is the stage of choice of the professionals who will help me in taking this procedure forward. So if this body this body that I talked about, the Gruha Redevelopment Stakeholder Council, also empanels and enlists each one of these professionals through these self-regulatory organizations. So every self-regulatory organization has members. Those members, like the developers under the CREDAI or NAREDCO, the architects and the PMCs under PIETA, the real estate agents under the NAR, and the legal professionals under the Bar Association, each one of them then empanels and gives his credentials in this web portal. So the web portal then becomes an e-market. That means any society which is going in for redevelopment understands all the procedures by reading everything that is put out in public domain, and then decides that I require a legal professional, and my pocket suits me something because it's a small society, maybe in Dombivli or wherever. I can spend only 10,000 rupees for getting all this documentation. You would have heard about a startup called Practo, which is for doctors. You can actually go there and it tells you at what rate, what type of doctor, what expertise will be available to you. Something similar can be done here. So if you are a big society in Nepean Sea Road, you are looking for an advocate who doesn't charge less than 1 lakh, because then only वो ज़्यादा पैसे लेता है मतलब बहुत अच्छा advocate होगा. There will be someone who says कि नहीं 5,000 रुपए में अगर मिल जाए, and if he has the credential of doing this job, which is put out in the public domain, you might go to him. So you do this matching, where you are able to get the right professional to help you out in the first stage of this documentation. Then you actually know about who are the PMCs and architects, what are their credentials, how have they worked in the past, what are the projects where they have worked. So essentially you do this matching. That's the second stage, where all this information you pick out from this domain which is created, public domain, and you do that. So you have an enlisting procedure for the housing society also. With a minor fee they get enlisted. You have an enlisting procedure for each of the professionals who with a minor fee get enlisted. That information matching then helps each one to get matched with each other to take it forward. Then you come to the stage where you have to go maybe a tendering to appoint a developer. That process of e-tendering, other things can be facilitated by this portal. And then if you have mapped out timelines for every procedure as to by what time each procedure should take place and happen, you can also do a monitoring with tech-enabled monitoring, which will help you to see that the process is going smoothly. And if any stage process will get stuck, then you try and use Mediation Act. The Mediation Act is the order of the day now. It actually has happened. There are mediators who have got their certified mediation certificates from the Mumbai Law University and all. These mediators can also be empaneled as enlisted professionals. And then whenever there is a difference of opinion, not only between the house buyer and the seller, but between any two stakeholders. There could be a problem between the architect and the developer, problem between the developer and someone else. You try and take that matter to an alternate dispute resolution, which hears the matter and tries to resolve. It's not that everything will get resolved. But to an extent, even if 50, 60, 70% gets resolved, it's a huge amount of success. That means that procedure timeline will not get derailed. You will tackle the problem as soon as it arises. You will not allow it to fester so that it becomes such a nasur that the project itself becomes stalled for years. So this essentially is the idea, where you will have information dissemination, you will have matching of professionals, of service takers and the service givers. You will have monitoring of the projects. You will also have alternate dispute resolution mechanisms available, which essentially is this idea, what is called as the Gruha Redevelopment Stakeholder Council. I think I'll rest my case here. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question as regards the dispute which arises between a builder and a consumer. So, what are the steps available for the consumer in such situations?
Steps available is that there are courts, there are consumer courts which are already existing. If it's a project where the dispute is arising is a registered project in RERA, then there are already section 31 under which a person files a complaint there. Also, MahaRERA has the conciliation forum where one can go and see whether conciliation work or not. In the GRSC, we'll have mechanism, there is a tab available, like it's available in MahaRERA, where goes and one does a registration of his complaint. Similarly here, he has a complaint, the consumer has a complaint against Mr. X. He will raise that complaint there. Mr. X will be asked that this is the complaint which has come up. As it happens in conciliation, are you willing to sit across to resolve this problem in an OEDR manner? He says yes or no. Obviously it is voluntary. So once he says yes, then you take that matter there. Also, since your council is comprising all the stakeholders bodies, SROs. So the developer will be prevailed upon to say that why don't you say yes and why don't you resolve this problem? Because ultimately, if you do not say yes and your project gets stuck, it gives only a bad name to you. So the essential part of this understanding is that in every possibility, whenever a dispute is raised against a person, the person will say yes, I will give it a try to see whether an alternate dispute resolution is possible.
Question is, there are many projects where some of them in a particular project, some buildings are prior to RERA registration and some buildings which are after RERA registration in the same project. And if there is an issue which is arising on in a similar project which is prior to RERA registration, what is this thing available to the consumer in such?
The country had laws, no? It's not that we were staying in a la-la land where nothing existed. So pre-RERA also things existed. When people had problem, they used to go to a consumer court, they used to go to, against the MOFA Act violation, go to a civil court. So those remedies are always available. But to think that a RERA Act has come, therefore it's a panacea, any problem which also exists from 2010 should be resolved under RERA is asking for too much, I think. So that should not be the understanding.
So in case of this portal coming up, so in case there is a complaint, it has to be that the society as well as the developer has to be registered in that portal to take up this resolution, or is it going to be a public domain where any sort of dispute resolution
At
can
present,
take
of course, we are
place?
thinking that it will be a resolution within the people who are there enlisted in the portal. We are not making it open there. Because for open, there is already a Sahakar Samvad. There is a portal available, which is the Maharashtra government has created through the Housing Federation, I think. Mr. Prabhu is aware. Here the idea is that please come to our portal, get associated with the portal. This is your portal. This is all the stakeholders coming together to do something which is in the interest of society. So I have a feeling that we are talking about dispute resolution among members, among stakeholders who are part of the portal. Any other clarification needed? How do you react to this whole idea of creation of a body which takes the very painful problem of redevelopment, which is today? It's actually a pain. It's actually a pain with so many projects started, not taking off, not starting because of lack of information. Do you feel that a portal like this, which puts out information in public domain, is going to facilitate the process or not? We have already filed the papers with the ROC for registration of the body. So very soon, I think within a month, Mr. Prabhu happens to be the vice chairman of that, and he has asked me to chair this body, which I have accepted.
Yeah, portal work has started on parallelly. Company registration process is going on. It's a NGO, non-profit organization, Section 8 company. Okay. I have a question which Gautam sir has already answered, but I was out. If it is not answered, let me put it in my own way. What is here for a chartered accountant? Is it going to create any professional opportunity? So I think I will request Gautam Chatterjee sir to explain, and then if required, I'll expand further as to what we can look as a chartered accountant. Okay, sir, you can just tell us what you expect from a chartered accountant, how chartered accountant can make use of this portal, whether it is going to be one of the best portal for them to enhance or increase their not only knowledge base and also professional opportunity. If you can highlight.
I was afraid to speak about that as to how powerful chartered accountants are, what is their capacity and what is their competence, which is, in fact, it's well known. Essentially, you see, finance is the most important part of anything that has to happen. Even in redevelopment, I talked about the various professionals who are going to give the documents like the feasibility report and the one who will give you the documents for the various agreements and all that. But essentially, it is the money, where it will come from, how it will be accounted for, whether the monies are being spent properly or not, it's being accounted for properly or not, is a job of the chartered accountant. So the chartered accountant, if I say that there is a turnkey project management consultant who will guide a society in this whole process, a very important ingredient of that project management consultancy group has to be a chartered accountant who will talk about all the fiscal matters. So there will be an architect who will talk about, as in RERA, just see this as an image of the RERA. So in RERA, you have the three professionals, the architect, engineer, and this, and of course the developer who is carrying out the work. All those players become equally important in a redevelopment process, which till a RERA takes over and gets registered. Thereafter, of course, the RERA will take over. And every matter of problem, dispute, timely completion will be a part of the RERA's regulatory compliance oversight. However, before that, there are various things which are hampering the redevelopment process to be expedited and not expedited. And therefore, I think this is going to help that.
See, today people are not aware whether chartered accountants can play a major role in the redevelopment process. Whether in the process of preparing a project report, feasibility report, preparing a financial plan, getting the loan from the various financial institution, how the budgeting can be done, what will be the sales and marketing techniques, all this financially putting a financial plan can be well prepared by a chartered accountant after a technical plan, that is a blueprint, is prepared by the none other than architect and engineer, giving what is called as construction blueprint, how the construction can take place, what is the timeline required, what is the fund required. So the finance guy can bring this technical plan, approved plan, how many square foot, how it is happening, construction plan, how things are happening, what is the milestone, for which how much money is required, and how the money can be resourced, and what are the various modalities of working out the money, whether from the sales, if it is a sales, how the sales will come in, what are the expenses involved, what are the other office expenses involved, what are the various compliances, because now when we go for self-redevelopment or a redevelopment, there are various compliances to be done. This compliance, whether it is a labor compliances, technical compliance, of course, architect will take care. But there are other administrative compliance, whether it is a income tax, whether it is a GST, whether it is a, your other audit, accounts, internal audit, all these compliances can be done, administration, all this can be done by none other than chartered accountant. So, a chartered accountant has something called the business acumen and business consultant. He is a business consultant, financial consultant. So, that role can be done. Now, the challenge with the housing society or a promoter, who is this chartered accountant, how to search for him? His enlistment is not available. Are you with me? उनका एम्पेलमेंट किधर भी नहीं है. मान लो अभी कल, मान लो इधर थाना में 4 प्रोजेक्ट रीडेवलपमेंट में जाना चाहते हैं. रीडेवलपमेंट में जाना है, they don't know whom to approach, how to approach, who is the competent person, उसका प्रोफाइल अवेलेबल नहीं है. Now what happens is housing society which is in Thane, they can go to my website and find out who are the empaneled chartered accountant. Now when we do the empanelment, we will look at his financial, that chartered accountant's the certificate of practice. His credential will be cross-checked by the Institute of Chartered Accountant. So bogus chartered accountant, bogus person, because we have seen lot of chartered accountants who are expired. Believe me, expired chartered accountant's name are being used by some bogus people, and they are giving form number 3, form number 5, and it has become a big episode in the institute, rather RERA, and it had gone to the institute where I was a party in discussion. UDN number गलत लिखा है. आदमी CA पोर्टल में ही नहीं है. He is expired, but expired आदमी के नाम से उधर सर्टिफिकेट जनरेट हुआ है. So what I am saying is, so genuine chartered accountant will verify, his credential will be verified, and his area of practice, whatever he is going to say, मैं इतना इतना बैंक को जानता हूँ. ठीक है, आपने बैंक के साथ काम किया है, आपका अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर, आपने कुछ किया है, ये इतना सोसाइटी को मैंने कंसल्टेंसी दिया, उनका अपॉइंटमेंट लेटर, उनका क्रेडेंशियल, उनका क्रॉस वेरिफिकेशन, क्योंकि आप तो प्रोफाइल में तो कुछ भी लिखेंगे. प्रोफाइल में आप लिखेंगे कल मैं ये किया, मैं वो किया, मेरा ये अनुभव है, वो अनुभव है, आपका प्रोफाइल है. बट हु इज देयर टू वेरीफाई, क्रॉस चेक? इज देयर एनी मैकेनिज्म which we will have? And secondly, in a chartered accountant, one who is doing good work or any professional service provider, there will be something called review. I think sir must have said एक review will be done. The Google review होता है, अलग review होता है. So the review will happen so that, and search engine मतलब जो chartered accountant थाना में काम करता है, he doesn't require fort work, he doesn't require jalgaon work, but one can search in our area who is there. And secondly, what happens is chartered accountants who are looking for opportunity also can go to that portal because it is an aggregate platform. तो आपको लगता है कि थाने में कौन सा because you are in practice in Thane and you are looking for financial advice. So you can go to the portal, how many Thana societies want to go for redevelopment, so that you can directly approach them. In a profession, we are not allowed to do advertisement. But if there is a portal like this, which is recognized by the government, which will get it recognized, and an NGO, where, so you can always go there to those societies. Sir, aapka society, we understand that you have expressed your interest on this so and so portal. So I am also interested. So even if they don't come proactively, you can go there proactively. So all these compliances, accounting, auditing, compliances, labor compliances, your GST compliance, income tax compliance, legal compliance, सब कुछ आप कर सकते हो, office administration. This is one. The second very important, we we are discussing even today or even earlier, the housing societies require lot of consultant, rather counselor. What do you mean by counselor? Counselor means, because it is ours is a council. The council means we want to be more friendly with them. We want to guide them. But again, it should be independent guidance and it should be unbiased without expecting. So we are going to create a panel in every city, 10 to 15 people, chartered accountant, advocates, architects, engineers, who are ready to give selfless service for them. For whom? Societies. Once you give a selfless service, understand, possibly they may select you. That business proposal is different, but this will be honorary things which you will be doing, which will help you. Like this, today program is done. I requested GSB Sabha, sir, we want to have this program, can you help? They agreed. Similarly, you want to have some program somewhere, 50 society ko bula liya, program kiya, from us we will come, questions can be resolved. Now the third thing which of course we have already discussed and decided in our board of directors meeting is to have online helpline. Online helpline means 3 days in a week, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., 1 hour, we are going to dedicate. Once the company is done, our portal is ready, we are going to announce the helpline that is called Redevelopment Darbar. What we are going to do in the Redevelopment Darbar? In the Redevelopment Darbar, people have issues, concern, whether it is related to dispute, whether it is related to builder selection or architect or anything, they are going to put their query. Yeah, हम तो redevelopment करना चाहते. Can you depute some influencer, counselor free of charge to our place? That can be one of the requirement. The second, they may say that our society has directed to so and so developer, but there is a dispute related to the builder. We want to have consult with experts. Can you provide? So ये issues हम समझेंगे. The moment they give us something called request, what we do is we give them particular time slot. जब time slot देंगे, it is all going to be online. Time slot में क्या होगा? मान लो it is related to finance. And no, we know that it is related to finance, it is related in Thane. तो हमारा influencer है, we will request them. 5 to 6 can you devote? ऐसा नहीं कि 5 to 6 on Monday or say Tuesday, Wednesday and Saturday. Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. We are planning for 3 days a week. Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Saturdays many people are free. So Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday 5 to 6. ये slot में suppose it comes कि we know it is Dombili and we know Amruta Joshi is expert there. We refer to her. This is a request come, this is a link, we will create a link, we send it to them, and our secretary will monitor, supervise and unbiased opinion will be given. एक आधा आर्किटेक्ट का इशू होगा, हम आर्किटेक्ट का जो हमारा पैनल में है, एक्सपर्ट ऑनरी पैनल, उनको भेज देंगे. इंजीनियर का रिलेवेंट है उधर भेजेंगे, आईवीसी का रिलेवेंट है एनसी उधर भेज देंगे, या एक्सपर्ट जो है जीएसटी का है उधर भेज देंगे. कहने का तात्पर्य ये है, दिस वे वी आर ट्राइंग टू गिव देम independent free advice. Only thing, they need to be on our board. Yearly we'll charge some fees. It could be per society 1,000 to 2,000 depending on the activity, and for this type of consultancy nominal fees will be charged, so that our secretarial office खर्चा maybe 100 रुपया 200 रुपया हम लोग charge करेंगे. It is going to be in the forum, not going to be, or rather council, it is not going to be the experts. तो इस तरह का एक है. दूसरा इसमें क्या होगा, there are some societies, there are issues with the government. When I talk about government, see, it's a SRA project, SRA is not giving the approval. It is related to BMC, they are not giving approval. It is related to collector, they are not giving approval. You have certain challenges, what are the documentation you have done? So that also you will upload on with us, and we will verify, the expert related to that field will verify, and we will be giving a slide slot between 5 to 6, the day you choose, and there the discussion will happen one-to-one between you on online. And then whatever required measures to represent on your behalf, we will represent to that department. मान लो ये माडा का रिलेवेंट है, हमने स्टडी किया, ये सोसाइटी का ये इशू है, why you are not resolving? And there is something called RTI, right to information is nothing but citizens' right. Many people are not aware. There is a right to service act. Are you aware of this? There is, in 2005 में RTI आया, there is something called right to service Act 2015. Manu Srivastava is now the Chief Commissioner of the this one, what you call right to service. So here right to service में आता है क्या? Can we plug there? We will verify, understand, and we are not going to misuse. There are some RTA activists misuse, but we are going to use it for positively to take you on the board. So therefore, chartered accountants are required. You have a role to play. The societies will also start appreciating. We have taken a lot of, burden on that. Burden means pleasantly. मतलब हम खुशी खुशी से ये आपका जो दर्द है वो हमारा दर्द करके मान के हम इसको लेके जा रहे हैं. I think you can suggest or should I? Okay. अच्छा सर, another thing, ये बहुत महत्व है. Today housing societies are not going forward for self redevelopment. What is the reason? There are basically 3 reasons. First, they don't know how to market. हमारा बिकेगा कि नहीं बिकेगा. Second very important problem is with them, the fund. And the third important, so sales and marketing, fund, third important is construction or approval. This is the third. Approval के लिए हमारे पास अच्छा आर्किटेक्ट है, ये सब मिलेगा. कंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए we will be having something called architect. फाइनेंस के लिए we will definitely have alternate investment fund, banks, institution, empaneled there. We will bring them on the board. वो सब होगा. बट मार्केटिंग कैसा होगा, दैट इज ऑल्सो बिग चैलेंज. नो डाउट एस्टेट एजेंट होंगे, ये होंगे, चैनल पार्टनर्स होंगे, सब होगा. फिर भी सर का एक दिमाग में, बिकॉज ही वॉज SRA, वाइस प्रेसिडेंट एंड CEO SRA. यू नो व्हाट इज SRA? स्लम रीडेवलपमेंट. उसमें एक सब्जेक्ट होता है प्रपोज सोसाइटी. तो सर ने और हमने एक कमिटी मीटिंग में या बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स मीटिंग में डिस्कशन हुआ और मैंने मेरा एक्सपीरियंस शेयर किया, विच आई वांट टू शेयर विद यू, सो that experience has been put into right perspective. What is the experience? Many of you know that I am synonymous to cooperative housing society. Yes or no? लोग किधर भी जाते हैं तो बोलते हैं सोसाइटी मैन आ गया. They don't say रमेश प्रभु, ये सोसाइटी आदमी आ गया. सोसाइटी, जिधर भी मैं कोई भी फंक्शन में जाता हूँ, शादी में वगैरह, अच्छा आप सोसाइटी का प्रभु है. हाँ, मैं सोसाइटी प्रभु. फिर उनका चालू हो जाता है, मेरा घर में लीकेज है, ये वो है, डायलॉग चालू. मेरा दूसरा इंट्रोडक्शन तो चाहिए नहीं. So coming to the point, how I started my practice, this is very important for you. Nearly 100 societies and 100 buildings I have done. How? मान लो वसई कर्नाटक संघ करके हमारा वसई में I started practice. वसई का कर्नाटक संघ का लोग इकट्ठा आते थे. एक फोरम है NGO, उनको वसई का जितने भी कन्नडिगा लोग हैं उनको घर चाहिए. तो what we used to do, we used to get them on the board, discuss with them, and that NGO used to take the application money, 500 रुपया 100 रुपया ऐसा लेते थे. एक जिसको घर चाहिए उनका एक बॉडी बनाते थे, 100 लोगों का, 50 लोगों का. फिर मैं उसका सोसाइटी बनाता था. सोसाइटी बना के जमीन लेते थे, आर्किटेक्ट अपॉइंट करते थे, इंजीनियर करते थे. उस हमने वैसे का कर्नाटक संघ है. बाद में आप GSB मालूम है, GSB ने सर हमने 20 बिल्डिंग्स बनाया. Where in Dahisar mein we have Bhuvanendra Cooperative Society. We have a GSB Seva Mandal. Under his leadership, Swami's leadership, we got about 500 people. Everybody became a member. We purchased the land. Swamiji purchased the land in his name. He gave on lease basis, and there are 20 buildings came up. More than 500 families are staying. There is another concept. Aga Khan, they are coming out with the proposed societies. उसी तरह से army, because sir was in the defense. आर्मी हाउसिंग वेलफेयर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करके शायद आपको मालूम होगा. आर्मी लोगों को घर दिलाने के लिए दे टेक द इंटरेस्टेड पीपल. मान लो उनको मुंबई का 500 मिल गया तो 500 के लिए वो मुंबई का जगह ढूंढते थे, या पटना में के लिए आया, या दिल्ली के लिए आया, इंटरेस्टेड पीपल आ गया, दे डू दैट. सिमिलरली आई हैव डन फॉर कारगर एम्प्लॉयज. कारगर का जो युद्ध हुए, जिनका गवर्नमेंट ने लैंड दिया था, उनका सोसाइटी बनाया, फिर आर्किटेक्ट दिया, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर दिया. दिस इज हाउ आई हैव बीन डूइंग, एंड 100 सोसाइटी हैव डन. इंडियन एयरलाइंस एम्प्लॉयज, नाबार्ड एम्प्लॉयज, रिजर्व बैंक एम्प्लॉयज, बैंक ऑफ इंडिया एम्प्लॉयज, सिंडिकेट बैंक एम्प्लॉयज, हर जगह का कैंटीन में जाने का, लेबर यूनियन वाले को बुलाने का, फिर उनका लोगों का एक प्रपोज सोसाइटी बनाने का, फिर मैं घर दिलाने का. दिस हैज बीन माई वे ऑफ फंक्शनिंग. एंड जो CA करते नहीं थे वो एरिया मैंने पकड़ लिया. उसके बाद मोफा आया, मोफा में आ गया, डीम्ड कन्वेंशन में आ गया, एवरीथिंग आई डिड. नाउ व्हाट वी हैव प्रपोज्ड, हम लोग क्या करेंगे, जो इसको भी घर चाहिए, मान लो अंधेरी में, सो अंधेरी का 7 के ऊपर लोगों का एक रिक्वेस्ट आ गया, वी विल आस्क देम टू रजिस्टर ए सोसाइटी सेइंग दैट XYZ अंधेरी फ्लैट ओनर्स वेलफेयर एसोसिएशन. वो बन गया, हजार रुपए भरा, 7,000 भरा, उनका फॉर्म बन गया. दे विल एनलिस्ट देयर नेम इन आवर पोर्टल सेइंग दैट वी आर लुकिंग फॉर 7 फ्लैट्स, 10 फ्लैट्स, 25 फ्लैट्स इन अंधेरी एरिया. जो अंधेरी एरिया का रीडेवलपमेंट होने वाला है, उनका जो प्रपोज्ड है मान लो 15 फ्लैट बेचने को है, सेल होना है, ये प्रपोज सोसाइटी रादर रजिस्टर्ड एसोसिएशन विल हैव एन MOU विद दैट हाउसिंग सोसाइटी, वी विल मेक ए मैच फिक्सिंग, शादी करा देंगे उनका दोनों में, तो उनका लोन सैंक्शन करा देंगे हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी से, ताकि उनका घर बसेगा और हमें डेवलपर या जो मिडलमैन है उनको अवॉइड करने का एक मौका मिलेगा. सो द सेल्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग वेयर इन्फ्लुएंसर कैन मेक ए लॉट ऑफ डिफरेंस. या
And the price at which they will get is at least 25% less than if they buy from a developer directly. So it's actually, it will boost self-redevelopment. Societies which are going for self-redevelopment do not have the expertise as to how do I market my extra 10 flats. If there is this another society proposed, which is buyers coming together, you just put them together, so they actually get their loan sanctioned from the housing finance company, and that money helps redevelop the society. So this is going to give a boost to self-redevelopment.
आपके लिए बहुत सारा डेवलपमेंट मतलब प्रोफेशनल अपॉर्चुनिटी है, आप इसके साथ जुड़ जाइए, आप एनलिस्ट करिए. प्रोफेशनल के लिए शायद 2 से 3 हज़ार रुपया साल का रहेगा. इट इज़ नॉट ए बिग अमाउंट, बट सर्टनली यू विल गेट नॉलेज, यू विल गेट ऑल द सर्विसेज over and above. If you are able to deliver something, you can encash, and they are a concentrated chartered accountant. सब लोग redevelopment में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. हो सकता है 4 लाख CA में, we have 4 lakh CAs if you are aware in India, and in Maharashtra we have about 95,000 chartered accountant. महाराष्ट्र का 95,000 chartered accountant में हो सकता है 50%, around 45,000 chartered accountants are practicing. उस 45,000 में 1,000-1,500 CA लोगों को redevelopment इंटरेस्ट है, जैसा मुझे है, ऐसे ही आप जैसे लोगों को इंटरेस्ट होगा. सो 1,000-1,500 जो CA इंटरेस्टेड है, दे विल बी कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड वन प्लेटफॉर्म, दे विल हैव द नॉलेज बैंक एट वन प्लेटफॉर्म, एंड दे कैन डेवलप देयर प्रैक्टिस. बिलीव मी, ये प्रैक्टिस इतना अच्छा है, इसका रुचि किसी को नहीं है. मैंने उसका रुचि लिया है, एंड आई हैव डेवलप्ड माई प्रैक्टिस ऑन दैट.
That's what I am expecting also. 1,000 to 2,000 CIs across this state will come forward and take the lead. And as he rightly said, among the various stakeholders and professionals, you can take the lead because you can play a role in. Just now he was showing me Karnataka RERA has come up where they have put the chartered accounts even above the architects and the A, and said that after completion, it's the CA who will certify the building has been completed. Of course, I am not in agreement with that, but then at least in many other things which actually have financial implication, if a chartered accountant gets associated in a redevelopment project, like a PMC gets associated right from beginning to end, if there is a CA which is associated from beginning to end, I think it will do tremendous amount of good to the society, to that housing society, to society at large, and obviously enhancing your knowledge.
मैं आपको बताऊं, I work as a part-time CFO for housing society when they are going for redevelopment. I charge 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees per month. आप मान लो 3 साल का है, 36 lakhs, 2 लाख रुपया per month, because I will appoint him one accountant. Of course 50% खर्चा आता है, one accountant because they don't know, and one coordinator for billing, accounting, so clerical बाल लो. 50-60 हज़ार रुपया खर्चा आता है, उनका ऑफिस रहता है, कंप्यूटर सिस्टम रहता है. I will be doing a virtual system. 2 लाख रुपया पर मंथ मैं लेता हूँ, साल में मुझे 24 लाख मिलता है. So you can imagine in 3 years what happens. So 1 lakh rupees भी आप पकड़ेंगे तो 36 lakhs मेरा net only on virtual or rather part-time CEO with accounting services. उसमें compliance ये सब आया, 50% भी निकलेगा तो मेरा 36 लाख आता है. दूसरा, when I do this type of structuring, this is called transaction structuring. We know in companies we do amalgamation, merger, formation of company, उनको CFO, financial service वगैरह देते हैं. Why we are not giving to housing society? Why as a chartered accountant we should not lead that and earn? मैं आपको बताऊं, मेरा इनिशियल कैरियर में एक सोसाइटी जब बनाता था मैं, मेरा 8 से 10 लाख रुपया मेरा 3 साल का इनकम होता था. आज मेरे पास 200 एम्प्लॉयज काम कर रहे हैं, 200 एम्प्लॉयज, 10 partners and 200 employees, a big office around 6,000 square foot owned office with the land is there in Vasai, 4,000 square foot in Andheri, and by grace of God I've earned name, fame, and society bringing people together. So this is what I thought, let me give back to the profession. He also thought, after putting so much efforts in the housing sector, let me give back to the society with the selfless interest we are doing. What we want you also get attached with some interest. What is the self-interest? Developing your practice. I may be a role model, develop that. Because आज समाज में भी मुझे बहुत इज्जत मिलता है. You know सुरेश प्रभु माई सेल्फ एंड हमारा समाज का जो है एक माधवेंद्र चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट में वी आर कमिटी मेंबर्स. आई एम द चेयरमैन ऑफ दैट ट्रस्ट. वी आर गिविंग टू द पुअर्स. ऑल दिस वी आर डूइंग. It is not that we are doing for poor scholarship, ये वो सब करते हैं, which GSB Mandal knows. And that is how they respect me. And then they said, it is our honor that you are coming here. Let me, you know, that is what Yashwant Kamath, Haridas Pai and all that said. Sir, आपने फोन किया, आप इधर आ रहे हो, तो yesterday they took my permission. हमको आपको शाल देना है, फल देना है. आप कई लोगों को अच्छा नहीं लगता है. मतलब देखो, आप रेस्पेक्ट कर रहे हो, रेस्पेक्ट न लेना ये भी मेरे लिए गुनाह होगा. I don't do that. Please, whatever you give, it's our pleasure because you are hosting this program. So I'm thinking so many things can happen in the life. Be associated with GRSC, which is led by none other than Gautam Chatterjee. Be a part of this movement. Let us make a difference in the life of the housing society, members in the housing society who are getting little bit disturbed with the process of redevelopment. Can we add some value into that? That's the whole thing. Thank you very much for the entire panelists. And any questions to RERA? RERA leaders इधर बैठे हैं जिन्होंने किताब लिखा है. आपको आश्चर्य होगा 17 जुलाई को हमारा सेकेंड एनुअल कॉन्फ्रेंस है. 28 स्टेट का चेयरमैन मेंबर्स आर कमिंग एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स आर कमिंग. मतलब मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हाउसिंग उधर हमें प्रेजेंटेशन के लिए बुलाया. वी हैव रिटन द बुक. सो 20 of us are going there to give a presentation to 28 state chairman members. That is the power that these leaders have created. So government, central government has invited us. We are going there. So if you have got any suggestion in RERA, anything you want to do, we will be able to do. So thank you very much.